Good morning, everyone. I think it's Saturday, January 23rd. I know you were expecting a fender alignment video, but it looks like there's been a slight change in plan. As I was aligning the passenger front fender, which of course plays off of the door, and I was trying to get the fender to be flush with the door, I noticed the door was kind of sticking out away from the rocker just a little bit, not much. The door was originally adjusted so I had a good gap between the door and the B-pillar. I had adjusted it so that the front edge of this also aligned with the rocker. Remember, the rocker comes out and ends, the door then aligns with that rocker, and then you get that nice smooth body line between the door and the fender and the rocker, so you get that nice clean line. And I noticed this was bulging in the bottom, and I thought maybe I got to tap that in. And of course, it turns out it was bulging because it still had filler. So it looks like my sandblaster either doesn't have a great eye for detail, considering he also missed that cowl. Remember in my other video I had to clean the Bondo out of my cowl. He also missed this. So of course I immediately then went and ground certain spots that I thought were suspect along here to make sure it was metal, and it is. So the door is not terrible. I'm not going to go reskin it. I mean, I'm going to repair this door. So I'm going to have to cut this out, obviously, make sure everything's clean and clear inside, hit it with some rust inverters, make sure, again, stop the rust now. I'll probably run some down in here. Problem I did reveal, though, is this is where this, of course, is pinched all the way along the bottom, right? The skin comes around the door, it's pinched. You can see, or maybe you can't, but I can feel this is dented all in here. So where it comes across and hits the inner skin, it can't move because that's a solid structure. Where it doesn't, it of course moves very easily. So somebody might have kicked the door or brought the door and hit something, because right in here as well, this is really bad. This is a real deep crease right here. So they must have hit against something with it. I'm going to try to massage this out. My goal with this car was always to try to maybe use filler, but filler just to flatten. So you're talking a 1/16 of an inch, just a layer of filler so that you can marry two pieces together so that they are flat between the two pieces. This certainly isn't a 1/16. This is like a 8. I don't think it's 3/16, but it's pretty darn deep. I don't want that. So I'm going to try to massage this out. So change in plan, as I said, we're on a door repair. So sit back and let's cut this out. Okay, it actually looks worse than it is. There's a lot of rust in here, as you can see, but that actually is just really a scaly surface rust on the inner structure. So I can just clean all this out. Maybe I'll get my portable sand blaster and I'll just hit this and get in there, clean all the nooks and crannies out. I'll hit it with the rust inhibitors or the rust inverters, and that'll be it for the back. I mean, it's not that bad. The real challenge in this corner, and it's always going to be in this corner, and traditionally they rust right here in this corner, is because, like I said, the distance between the back structure and the front structure is barely a 1/16 of an inch. Water collects in here. There is no weeping. There's no weeping hole here. So what ends up happening is this just fills up with water and rots. Simple as that. We're going to fix it. We're going to seal it. But I do suggest, if you even have a brand new door, which I do, my driver's door is a brand new door, I'm going to nail this corner with all of the tools in my arsenal against rust, because it will rust. I mean, maybe 5, 10, 20 years from now, it'll rust. I mean, it will. So clean it out, and let's prep it up, and let's repair it. So this is what I meant by my portable sandblast tool. They're really nothing more than a hopper, which is gravity fed. I have a knob here which controls the how much sand gets in, and literally the air pressure just hits the sand and blows it. I mean, very simple. It's not like a blasting box where it's got to use a suction to get the sand up. This really loads the sand up. It was like $40. We have an organization up here in Canada called Princess Auto, and so like I said, $40 you get this hopper and air pressure, and you can sandblast in short little spots on your fenders or on the underside of your car. things that won't fit into the blast box. Now, it goes through a lot of sand, but it's actually quite effective. So let's give it a try. Well, you can't say it's not effective, like I said. So it blasted all of the rust and scale out. Obviously, there's the original piece I pulled off. So it cleans it up really nicely. Obviously, I'm going to hit this with the inverter. There's the holes I was mentioning. You can probably see me as I'm moving my hands through there. But, you know, a couple of holes I got to fix on this side here. I'll clean this up, and we'll spray some inverter. Then we're going to flip this over, and we're going to do an inspection from the other side and see what else is down in this area. All right, so first off, this is what I use. It's just a rust inverter. You know, rust check rust inverter. It does great for me. I spray it on, you know, in about 10-15 minutes, the whole surface becomes dark black. Of course, as you saw, you know, obviously get rid of all the scale and flaky rust, which I did with my portable sandblaster. Cleaned it all up, sprayed it. Now, getting to this here from this side, you can't. The structure's in here, you can't get here. So the only thing I can do is just liberally spray the inside here with an inverter and some sealers and things like that, just to kind of seal this all up. The weepers are wide open and I have no rust in the weepers, so I'm in pretty good shape. So obviously a few tips. This was open. I took my rust cure, which is a rust preventative, long nozzle, got it in here, shot this whole area up in here with the rust protector. That, again, to protect this area from inside, because again, if I can get in here, why not, right? Second thing I did, of course, is, you know, I already hit it with the converter. Third thing is the weld-through primer. So now I put weld-through primer in here, same thing, air hose, blow it all around in there, and let's just saturate this whole area with, like I said, every tool in my arsenal is in this corner. We'll let this dry up, we'll get a patch, and we'll put the patch in, and the door will be done. And like I said, then we turn to trying to massage some of these dents out. Okay, so patch panel is made. I had some extra patch panels that I bought earlier, so this has got the E-coating on it, which is perfect. The back I've already sprayed, so that's all sealed up. So everything in here has now been primed. I did shave the edges off here so that I get a good hit with the welder. The E-coating doesn't weld very well. Also, the E-coating smokes up a bit, so don't inhale it either. But the idea now is I can now tack this in around the corners. This magnet obviously is holding the piece of metal flush with the surrounding material. And all I need to do is tack this in a few places. I can remove the magnet, tack it on the other side, and then it's just going to be, you know, go around and around and around, keep the temperature down so I don't warp the panel, and we'll have our patch in. All right, well, good news, patch is in. It's nice and flush. You know, you're going to miss a few spots on welding. The problem is the metal's so thin, you're using a low voltage, you slow the wire feed down, obviously, and you're going to get a little bit of bubbles, right? You're not going to get that flatness that you get when you can really turn the voltage up. So, you know, I've got a couple of spots where I'm a little low, but you know what? I'm going to have to fill it anyways, right? But now I'm talking 1/16 of an inch, but just to kind of fill that up. The rest of the door is a mess. Really low spot in here, very dark spot, and here is a crease. It's about this long, and it's pushed in. Now, this fender line on the other door is 25 inches. If you go 25 inches, that's when you can feel that the line is gone. And if you come back even 24 inches, you can actually feel the bump. So it's actually a very quick transition. On this side, unfortunately, because of this pushed in, it erased this. In fact, this is only 22 inches. It's shorter than the other side. Now, am I going to sweat that? No, I'm not going to sweat that. But I still got to get this out, which means if I bring this out, this should come along with it as well. So I'm going to have to hammer the inside of this out, and then I may have to hammer it back down a little bit depending on how much I came out. But the idea is I'm going to have to bring this line out, but there's a door in my way. Okay, so with my left hand, I can feel obviously the indent on the other side of the panel. I can feel that body line that runs along here. So now if I can translate that inside, I can feel the body line as well. So now my two hands are at least coordinated. Now as I move forward, I can feel the bump. Now it's right along, unfortunately, the regulator for the window. So the regulator for the window has gotten in the way a bit. Not much. So what I can do is I can take my body hammer. Now I'm just positioning the head of the body hammer right over the crease. And let's give it a couple of shots. Feel it with my left, like I said, as it's moving out. I mean, I don't want to go too far, so let's see what we do. Okay, I just hit it with a block, and the idea from the block now is we want to get to the high spot to identify the low spot. Now, low spot is right there. There is a heavy crease. This had been hit by something really sharp edge and put a heavy crease in there. I can't hammer and dolly that out. Why? Because the inner regulator for the window runs right along here, and it's actually protecting this. I can't get it. I don't want to hammer on the regulator because then I'm going to squish the tracks where the rubber wheels run in, or the plastic wheels. The best I can do is bring it out to about where it is. I mean, I can feel that probably a 1/16 of an inch, maybe a little bit more deep. So I'm going to clean this out, and I'm going to get some filler. I'm going to patch, well, obviously I'm going to spray my front here first, and then I am going to patch this and try to bring this flush. Now the good news is it did bring this out. Like I can still feel this body line here now, so it did bring the body line out. As you can see, it's a high spot, it's moved. So I've now extended this to about 23, 24 inches, where on the other side, as I said, it was about 24 inches. So I might be a little short on comparing to the other side, but at least now the high spot has come out a little bit further, so this body line has been extended where it is on the other side. Again, symmetry is not so important when you can't see both sides at the same time, but it's just something I needed. Okay, you've all seen me do this before. I mixed up a bunch because I figured, you know what, I'm going to be patching this whole thing. I wiped the whole thing down with acetone. I had scratched it up. The surface is nice and clean. Literally, though, I'm going to need to put it all in through this entire lower section, because this entire lower section has high spots along that seam as this door has been bent in. So what I need to do is I need to be able to bring this door flush with the bottom seam all the way along. Well, we've all been here before. Obviously I put the patch in, I sprayed rust preventative materials inside. Hopefully that really cleaned this whole area up and sealed it. I put filler along the entire bottom part. Now, a lot of the areas were okay. A lot of them weren't, but remember, you can't just take filler and put it in a hole. You have to even cover the highs, because the idea is when you start taking the filler off to truly flatten it, you absolutely want to sand until you get to the highs, right? When you just start seeing the high spots coming through, and as long, of course, as you've got it flat, then you're done, right? But you can't just, I can't just put a piece here, a piece here, and a piece here. That'll never flatten out, right? So you got to do the whole thing, and then I can sand that down. Same thing up in here, right? This is a large patch for something that was actually about that size, but again, you have to come way over so you can feather it in, right? Because I'm going to have to flatten the whole panel. I can't just, concentrate on a small area. So we're all done. I'm going to wait for this to set up. I'm going to hit it with some sandpaper. I'm going to sand the entire door. I'm going to blast the inside of the door here because, as I showed you earlier, there's some surface rust starting to come through. I need to clean the whole door off. I need to clean the whole interior off, and then I'm going to mix up some 2K and hit the door with 2K, but that'll be the next video. I'll talk to you then.